Peut-être c'est une enseignante utile and Ishaka Nugukeme. I hope you're doing well. And I want to check the sound first of all. There's no point for me flowing in vain. Let's check the quality. Yeah. Of the advert first. I've shared the link in the chat for those who want to get on the panel. Besides that, I want to let the people know about this upcoming hieroglyphic lesson or Medunechet class for this Friday. And I really want a sister to take advantage of that free class coming up. If one sister wants to seize the opportunity, she just needs to get on the panel and she will be able to attend the upcoming group class this Friday at 11 p.m. EST New York time, and it will be free of charge for the first class. So why not take advantage? It doesn't cost anything. Now we can talk about the hieroglyphic. You might have questions. Now we can talk about the hieroglyphic. You might have questions. I'm not even sure the sound is coming up from the headset, but you can still hear me loud and clear, so that's fine. Indeed, you might have questions. Feel free if you do. Now, I was thinking about the fact that when you grow up, you listen to the people who are older than you. You listen to your family members. When it comes to the information, in any field really, but when it comes down to Black history, you have so many claims. You hear so many claims. And eventually, when you do some research, mainly reading, because some people do research by doing some search engine quests, Google searches. That's where it ends for many. So once you start doing research and you read the books of experts or specialists in their own fields, you come to the realization that what you've been told, a lot of things that you've been told about people that you look up to, people that you appreciate, people that you have ties with, you realize that they've made some stuff up. Some people make stuff up because they have never been challenged. We have many people who actually never debated in their lives. And when I say debating, I don't mean a debate setting where there is a topic, a moderator, and equal time, but I'm talking about they have never been challenged with their claims. I addressed many times a fake scholar, fake PhD, someone online claiming that he's a PhD, and that's in the French-speaking Pan-African world. The guy is a huge fraud, and besides being a fraud, like we have some frauds in the English-speaking world as well, amongst the conscious community or Kemetic community. The guy is a known scammer. He's been scamming for decades, and everybody knows this, but they don't say anything, and it's very pitiful. So it's one of the reasons why many times you hear me criticizing Pan-Africans, because they don't have any morals, they don't have any standards, So someone might claim to be a PhD, even though it's not, but he might say some accurate stuff, And that guy, that fake scholar, that fake PhD, that fake professor, I mean, is on some high level falsehood. High level falsehood, And some people have pointed out that he's a fraud, but they only pointed it out with some usernames. We don't really have people expressing the fact that dude is a fraud. And do you know why people get away with being fraudulent? Do you know why people get away for being scammers and liars and deceivers? I'm talking about the Black community. Because some people feel like, well, you should not criticize a brother publicly in front of the white press, white media. You know, that cliche. So we have some organizations like to say stuff like that. And it's the same organization that killed men, women, and children. But you cannot criticize. You cannot speak about it. Now, they will criticize many. They have criticized many. It's a calm game. It is pitiful. It does not help for progress. Well, people who have certain groups or crew, they have certain crews. And once they reach enough members, it's as if they are untouchable, beyond reproach. And the information should be challenged. We should be able to challenge some information. But when you do, you are labeled all sorts of things. When will this change? When will this change? We're making a fool out of ourselves. It's not a good look at all, not scientific. You see, when we talk about Black people, Black scientists, Black academics, name Sheikh Anta Diop will definitely be in the top 10, if not the top 5. Now, we have some people who have the nerve to say not only that he was wrong, but that he guessed some stuff. And the dude is a PhD. He was a PhD because he's no longer there. So he had peers. He was recognized in the field. His work speaks for itself. He was peer reviewed. On the other hand, we have some Black men of the Asiatic influence who will criticize him, disrespect him, both in the English-speaking world and the French-speaking world. And they will do that because he was not pushing for their ideology. He was not pushing for their doctrine. See, if you pay close attention, the scholars that are usually mentioned, acclaimed by Black people of the Asiatic influence, are scholars who are from their school of thoughts or who share information that fits with their narrative. They ultimately might quote other scholars just to try to validate their point. But out of all the scholars that we know, all the scholars who talked about Black history, how many were in the field, recognized in the field? The people who actually gain that academic knowledge, it feels like sometimes they're the people we hear about the less. Just like out of all the leaders we had, we know very well that Marcus Garvey led the largest Black/Pan-African organization ever. Over 1 million members, some people say over 2 million members, or sympathizers at least. And who will deny that we don't hear much about Marcus Garvey? We hear a lot about other people. For years, people like Dr. Ben, John Henry Clark, Chancellor Williams have been slandered, disrespected, still over and over again by people of the Asiatic influence. I have a video, and I don't want to say the name because I don't want to dwell on that. It's falsehood, but I'm basically refuting some falsehood. But one guy had a nerve to label Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark as agents. And that's one of their favorite claims. When you don't agree with their narratives, I was labeled an agent. I was labeled a Zionist just because I wouldn't agree with anti-Black and anti-African teachings. So that thing flies because they are established. They are established because they have a significant amount of followers or members, And I don't mean to throw any shots, and I don't want to say any names, but we now have some channels with quite some large audience. And whoever gets on that channel overnight becomes someone that has some sort of credit in the eyes of the neophytes. Ultimately, the people judge, the grassroots. And it looks like before, the judgment of the grassroots was sharper than now. I've addressed people who came out of nowhere, and overnight, they were the head of some movements. And when I say movements, I don't mean organizations, but movements. And some of them collected millions of dollars. And people are crying. How come you follow neo movements over organizations and different movements that were there for so long? Unfortunately, indeed, people like the cloud, what we call the cloud today. It has entered the vernacular now. People are attracted to that. We have some people who manage to generate enough attention, and they can always reinvent themselves. Always. Thanks to the grassroots. Back then, they used to be sharper. Much sharper. So, in the video Kemet and Maat, in other words, Introduction to Kemet, at the end, I say, you all have a voice. You might as well use it. And your voice is important. Now we have Brother Reggie who wrote, some of these Medu Nature teachers keep you in their classes for years and their students can't read at all. I exclude Dr. Reketi Amin's school and Mfudishi's class. They can all read. Well, I don't know who it is that would teach for years and people cannot read at all. You have some testimonials on my channel. And really after 5 to 10 classes, you have some good grounds in the Medu Nature. Like I've said many times, in a few weeks, people can learn what it took me years to learn. Why am I saying that? Because I'm self-taught. I did not have a teacher. Well, I didn't feel like you were including me, but Reggie wrote, "I am excluding you." Now, see, Brother Reggie is familiar with the meta nature. Brother Reggie, just like myself, in the Louvre Museum, he has taken people on tours in museums, reading directly from the original artifacts, you see. And Brother Reggie came on my platform, and one time I can't remember which other platform it was, but on at least two different occasions, Brother Reggie, saw me reading directly from some Meadow Nature that he pulled up on the screen. And it's not something that we talked about earlier. It was not scripted. I was able to read on the fly. And of course, I don't know all the glyphs. There are hundreds of glyphs, but I have some sound knowledge. Some good. I'm quite familiar with the Meadow Nature. I've been dealing with it for a lot of time. But if people take classes for years and they cannot read from the original artifacts, then it's a huge shame. And brothers and sisters, if you are learning the Medu Nature, it's one thing to be able to read the hieroglyphic transcript. It looks nice and neat, but on original artifact, they don't always. The glyphs don't always look that neat. Some parts are damaged. Sometimes the spelling is different than the one you have on grammar books and lexicons. Because for the sake of saving space, the scribe will ultimately change the order of the glyphs, you see. And it's really when you read, yeah, and Reggie is writing, is specifying that some people are not able to read on primaries, And one thing I pride myself with is that in the Meadow Nature classes, now, of course, the first class, well, actually, at the end of the first class or first lesson, first hieroglyphic lesson, I end the first lesson with the reading of a short sentence, you know. And most of the time, the learners are very, very happy about that, to be able to read a short sentence, And that short sentence is read from an original artifact, you see. And I've actually filmed that one, so, the reference is available. But it's a shame if people cannot read from original artifact, you see. So all through the classes, I show many original artifacts. I show the references so people can see where it's located. They can see the reference number. They can see the description, So usually we have name, dates, and place. And on top of that, we also have the material, you see. So we will have, maybe like a 2300 BC, 2300 BC, before the Common Era. We have the name of the king or the priest or a treasurer. And we'll have the place where it comes from. It might come from Wased, it might come from Iunu, Menefer, and we'll have the material. So it could be limestone, it could be diorite, it could be alabaster, Now, Reggie is writing, it's funny, many people take these overpriced trips to Egypt and very little reading from primaries is done. So what are you paying for? Well, I would say, not trying to defend anybody, but people who decide to make a trip to Kemet, they just want to visit the place and see the sights, So the new scam is, it's better to be scammed by Black people than Arabs. Wow. But I went to Kemet in 2012. I could have went there earlier, but I wanted to learn more Medu Nature. But really, what actually ultimately made me decide to go there is when they had a revolution there. And I thought, you never know what they might do, because they had already damaged some artifact in the Cairo Museum, and some people were talking about blowing up the pyramids. So I thought, you know what, it might not be extremely safe, or it might be as safe as it usually was, but I might as well just go there. You never know. So still, when I went, I had some basis. Now it's much different. It's much different, but it's a long journey. Depends how well you want to be able to read. But When you go to a museum, or if you have the chance to go to Kemet and you read directly from the walls, then it is lovely and beautiful. You know, it is lovely. But now we have something very strange. We have people who claim to be proficient in the Meta Nature and they're just making stuff up. They're all over the place, all over the place. You know. So what is sad is that we have so many people who claim to be Kemetic. And like I've said many times, the only glyph they can read is the Ankh. That's the only glyph. Even the Hotep glyph, they don't even know what it looks like. The greeting that all Kemetic people use, they cannot read it. Reggie wrote, from New York, you can go to Egypt for $1,200 with airfare and a hotel for a week. Well, once again, I'm not trying to defend anyone, but when people organize trips to Kemet, obviously the price that they charge will not be the same as just the price for traveling normally, because they will take you to sites, they will, make their breakdown and explain stuff to you. So, and they take their time. So it's some people might say it's a business, but they take time to prepare and organize, and it's only fair that they get compensated for their effort. Now, from what I've seen, the average fee charged by scholars that take Black people to Quebec is about $3,000, $3,500. That's what I have observed over the years. Uh, I did not really check recently, but years ago, that's what it was. Like about 10 years ago, that was about the fee that they would charge. $3,000. So it is what it is. But at the end of the day, uh, we have Muslims who go on the Hajj. It is mandatory for them to go once in their lifetime if they are fit. But some go several times. And you see, Brother Reggie says that the average price is $3,500. So I presume he means, just like I said, the average price that they different people charge to take people to Kemet, or ancient Egypt. Well, ancient Egypt. um, kind of lost my thought now. But if there's a sister who wants to attend the Friday group class, you can do so free of charge. The first class will be free of charge because our good sister Alex Little has sponsored. You see, so take advantage. I don't even understand why I have to repeat that so long. See, one brother took advantage. So one brother is the lucky one, and he would attend the first class free of charge. But there's no catch. No credit card details. So if one sister is interested, just get on the panel. I have shared the link. You see. But yes, I remember what I was going to say. If a Muslim is fit, then he is required to go to make the Hajj. That we have, Brother Reggie. What's up, Penny? How you doing?
Peace, peace. How you doing, good
Yes, brother.
brother?
I'm chilling. I'm trying to let people know that there's a group class, but mainly one sister can be lucky, and attend the class free of charge. So that's why I'm insisting. It's been days. How are you doing?
Okay. Well, I'm glad that you are offering metametric classes for affordable price. Um, I, uh, in I usually recommend people to go to Dr. Ricketti's class because she was my instructor for the introductory class, and but Infidisi is also a good teacher in your area, but also online they can get access to you. Meta Nature is sometimes dependent on how you bond with the teacher and the type of offering that you have. right? Um, and so you don't look like you keep people in your metanetic classes for years and years and don't take them to the museums or the primaries. You look like you absolutely show the primaries, show yourself reading the primaries. You're pretty much like myself. Infidisi does that, and Dr. Richetti also does that. Some of these other places, all they do is they read on those fancy fonts. Uh, they use JShesh or they use what the Europe. They might look at a primary. They might look at a primary and then transliterate it, but most of the time it looks like they're teaching from. Watch this. They're teaching from J.P. Allen and Hodge and Gardner, right? But then many of them plagiarize J.P. Allen and make it like their own, right? They don't even give credit to J.P. Allen, or most people don't use Hodge. Some people use Ankh Mira as a kind of a workbook. Um, uh, I don't. I don't teach. I don't teach. I very rarely teach Medu Neter because I have a particular system. So but and so I very rarely teach it. But what I found is that the biggest problem is that on primaries, people do not know how to parse. So they don't know how to they don't know how to parse. So what is your recommendation for parsing?
What is parsing?
Parsing is when you look at the meta nature and you try to figure out when does the word start and when does
And
it end.
okay, yeah. Well, people need to be familiar with the glyphs. Now, what helps is the phonetic complements. When people understand how it works, then they will know that's where that word ends. Sometimes we have the single stroke, and mainly it's just to be familiar with the actual vocabulary. So if they're familiar with the vocabulary, they will know the spelling. So even if we don't have any phonetic complement, they will know, okay, that word means that. The next word has to be something else. The next word is not attached to the previous word. It's not a suffix pronoun. There's no mark of feminine or no mark of the plural. So really, I would say to
Mhm.
understand the phonetic complement, the honorific inversion or honorific transposition as well, but that's mainly inside of Shenu or cartouches. And yes, just to have a,
Okay.
a good knowledge of the vocabulary. I
Well,
mean, mainly. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
no.
I always tell people, to study the uniliteral, and that's why I have it there on my website there. I'm going to show it to the people. That's that's personally what I've been saying for years. I think it's the best way to start. This chart here of the uniliterals, some people call them uni consonants, because if people know this, I encourage people to know this by heart, and then they will be able to read some names and some words. So then the biliteral, comes over time. The triliteral, it takes longer because there are just many more. But if people, at least know the uniliterals and they know the most common biliterals, it will make it very, very easy for them.
Right. So I agree. I don't teach biliterals and triliterals. Um, but what I find is that when people try to memorize the biliterals and triliterals, when they go into a museum or something like that, they get stuck
Mm,
because they uh, they don't remember they what it looks like here, it doesn't look like on the primaries,
mm,
and so they get stuck and then they can't go on, and
mm.
so they don't go on. So I'll share my screen. I'm gonna share my screen if I can, if you let
Yeah, of
me.
course, of course, of course.
And I'll say, so here's a teacher and a teacher, right? So people are not going to get this, right? So here's a teacher and a teacher. So, okay. So, my chart is very similar to Shaka Ndugu's Kemet's chart, right? Absolutely the same. And um, so basically, what happens is he does the same thing. He has the symbol that makes the sound, symbol that makes the sound, and then he has uh, the Gardner code, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we both do the same thing.
Mm.
So when we go to the decipherment method, right? Uh, if we, for example, you see the square right here, the square, we look up and we get the sound P. Is
Oh,
it too
yes.
small?
Oh, no, it's okay. I thought you had your cursor because I couldn't see the cursor. But yeah, you're talking about the stool.
Yeah, I don't know why you can't see my cursor. I don't know why
Mm.
that. Because I can see my cursor, you can't see it.
Oh,
So
no, I cannot,
is
but
there a
it's
way
okay.
to see the cursor?
Well, normally it should be automatic because you're sharing your screen. So whatever you have
Oh,
on the
okay,
screen,
so here,
we
here.
should. Oh,
Okay, so
yeah, I see it now. Yeah.
all right. So if you look at the square, you look at
Mm-hmm.
the squares, Ptolemy, right?
Mm-hmm.
P. If you look at this symbol right here and you try to find it, you might find it here, and it's T, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then if you look at this kind of like rope, right? And you look for it here, you're going to see the rope here. So that's an O, right? And then this is
It was
lady.
initially wa, the bilateral wa, but over time, they're using
Yeah.
for the sound over. Yeah, that's like the Greeks. The
And
lion,
then Lady
Ru.
Egyptian. And Lady Egyptian, you see the symbol right here, which is an L, right? In Lady Egyptian also here, instead of an R, you might see this as an L. And then you look at this symbol right here, this is the M, right? And then you see the two reed leaves, and then it's a Y. And
Mm-hmm.
then because it's the Greeks, they use S's at the end of many of their words. And so you
Mm-hmm.
look at this candy cane looking symbol, and then you find
The
it over
folded
here.
cloth.
Yeah, folded cloth. Um, and but they don't know it's a folding cloth, so
No.
I call it like candy cane, right? Because that's what most
It looks
people.
like it. Yeah.
So because I say folded cloth, they're like,
What?
yeah, right. Because now you have to actually go and look at see the symbol on the primaries, right? And then you might see etchings to see that it's a folded cloth. So what we did here is this is what Champollion and Lepsius did, right? What do you think we should be using European money? I don't understand what that meant.
I did not understand the question either, but
Or
maybe he can rephrase it. And then we have Brother Onk in the place to be. I was listening to the live stream, Brother Onk, but then the live stream, I don't know what happened, but it was no longer online. But I hope I will be able to get to catch the upload. Because
so
yeah, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, so well, hopefully, I mean, I didn't know Ankh was on, so I always check my brother Ankh's work and what he's doing in Smash Rockwell.
He was actually on the pseudo killers channel.
Oh, I missed that. I don't know.
Mm,
They didn't let me know. So,
mm,
but so to the audience, so me and Shaka and Dougal Kemet, we use the same system. Now, why we use these things right here, which is the Gardner codes, is because if you went to the Vigus dictionary, so I can pull up the Vigus dictionary for you. Let me just see if I can pull that up. Um, and I'll just show you on the Vigus dictionary. Give me a second to see what's
mhm.
going on here with my. And okay, because we have okay, so Vigus. Okay, so what happens is that now with transliterations, sometimes you make a mistake with you make the mistake of trying to pronounce stuff, and we use these as conventions, so
Mm,
we don't try to pronounce it. So you got all these people, Hotep, Hetepul, right? You and so it sounds like how can I say, it sounds like gibberish, right? Because,
Well, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that.
well, okay, me and you, we how could I say? Because I know you're more into culture than me, right? So I've heard people get up and say whole prayers, really trying to read from the Book of the Dead, like you could read from the Book of the Dead. And transliterations, as you know, transliterations is not the language; it's just a convention where we believe that the sounds are like that because ancient Egyptian has not been reconstructed.
It's true, but still, we do have, of course, the consonants, and the convention is just to add the vowel e between two consonants. But in many cases, we do have the vowel sounds. We do have the e, we do have the a, we do have the u, and of course, we have the Coptic. So that's why most of the time, we have the o. I presume that's why we have the hotep instead of hetep, because Reketiamen actually is the first one I heard mentioning that what we call sen, meaning brother, the bilingual sn. Reketiamen said that in Coptic they call it son, son. So
Mhm.
thanks to the Coptic, we can have a clue of what
An
most
idea.
likely, yes,
Yeah.
yes, how it was pronounced, like, but many people actually don't know that we don't only have consonants. We do actually have vowel sounds. Definitely, the a, the u, the e appears quite regularly in the Benu Necha.
We do, but it's so what happens is that now when you go to a dictionary and you start trying to pronounce some of this stuff, right?
Hmm.
You have problems. And so what we do is uh, uh, we're just talking pointers between the work that we do, right? So when I showed you the Gardner codes right here, you can find things if you know that this is R4, right? If you know that this
Hmm.
is R4, you can string them along.
Hmm.
And so a lot of modern, you know, uh, technical people now, they string codes along, right? And so when you string the codes along, it helps you so you don't have to pronounce. You can just use the Gardner code. So with the sheet that Shaka and Dougal Kemet has in my shot, we both have Gardner codes. So that means that Shaka and Dougal is a good teacher. He understands. He actually understands the way in which there are different type of learners, right? Uh, that you can that you can approach it. So some people are kind of like more data specific, and some people are more cultural specific, and then they want to kind of like they want to pronounce it. Am I taking up too much time from you, from what you
No,
want to?
it's okay. It's okay. I mean, I will prepare for work soon, but now it's okay. I have a few minutes.
Yeah.
It's
So,
actually 6 a.m. right now, 6:24 a.m. in France.
oh, okay. So
Mm.
now, so when you go and you look at words
Ta.
like this, right? So this is my worksheet for my first words, right?
Mhm.
So if you went back to this sheet, right? If you went to Shakandugu's table or my table, you would be able to do your first words, right?
Mhm.
And this particular first word that we do, this is going to be the P, this is going to be the T, this is going to be the H, and we have a determinative.
Mhm.
So the PTH, we have an idea how to pronounce it, but we're not really sure. We don't know it's put ta, pot ta.
Mhm.
We pronounce it pata,
Indeed.
but we don't know if it's right. We don't know what's in between these things. We have
True.
no idea.
True.
So we're saying pata, but it may not be pata. It
Yes.
may be pot pa, right?
True. Indeed.
Pot to, right?
Indeed.
We don't know how it's pronounced. But the
Yes.
beautiful thing is that here is the determinative. And this one, we can use the same H that's here, the same T that's here, and the same P here.
Mm.
And then this is Hotep or
Mm.
Hetep.
I never
Yeah.
actually saw that spelling on. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I've never seen that spelling before on primaries.
Oh well, without this spelling, we would never know that that this is actually the glyph,
HTTP.
right? So we actually need this, right, to construct this. And so you went back to the Vigus dictionary, you would find this, right, and etc. So I know it's early in the morning for you, but we could. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for now. Um, uh, the hard part is this. I'll share my screen again for you.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. So here's so when I teach, and I don't teach anymore because I don't. I see these people are very hateful, and they steal your information and they make it their own, right? But okay, so here's the problem. Okay, so the Pert Imheru of Anui does not look like this in the primaries, right? It does not look like this in the primaries. Okay, so it looks like this in Budge's book.
Indeed.
But here's the dilemma. So when you're reading this, even from here, uh,
Douala.
yeah. So Dua Ra, Ket, Tefet, Uben, F, M, Akek,
Okay.
um, Optet, right? Optet, right? Net, Pet,
Het.
On, right?
Usir.
Usir,
Sesh.
Sesh, right? So we both can read this, right? What it says is rise on. I mean, it says Dua, rise Ra,
Wachibwa. Yes.
when rise him
In the
in the
horizon.
pocket of the east, uh, and then in the sky net in the sky, behold Osir, Sesh
The scribe
Osir,
of, yes, the scribe of
scribe,
Usir.
right, of the offerings, um, of the
Divine
of the
offering
yeah of the divine offerings of
of
the
the scribes.
Neteru, all and then
On
it's
it.
and then it's Anui. Okay, so
Mhm.
we can get through this, but the problem with most people is that Budge allows us to see the spaces, right?
Yes, yes, it's true. But on primary, there's no spaces.
There's no spaces, and
Hmm.
so you have to now it gets really hard because if you want to read any Purdom rule, you pretty much see this formula because this is a formula, right?
Hmm.
And you see it over and over again, but you won't see it like this. You won't see it in this very kind of like alphabetic sentencing. So
Hmm.
then, so then you need a method. You need a method to approach. You look for determinatives, and sometimes when you see a determinative, you can draw a horizontal line. So
Hmm.
here's a determinative. And then if you see another determinative, you could draw a horizontal line.
Hmm.
And then there are some keywords that allow you to begin to draw horizontal lines, right? So now, mind you, me and him, we're reading this, right? And there is no English, right? So
Hmm.
we're reading this. This is pretty simple, and we're reading this, and we can read further than this. We could say
Jedef,
right in Nezareth,
image, Erek, yes.
yeah,
E.T.
ETM,
M.
Kepera,
Kheperi,
right, Keperi, right, M,
M.
um,
Kema,
Kima,
Neteru,
right, Neteru,
Ka-ek,
right, right,
Uben,
Kaek, because
Ek.
you see, all right, and so we can transliterate and read on the fly for some basic metanetra,
Mm.
which you will be learning in Shaka Indugu's class. But what I always do is I don't teach C ray jump, C a set slide, right, C heru swim. I don't teach like that. I teach from primaries.
Mm.
So I never teach from uh, I never teach from just scripted stuff. Like I would teach from, I would have to teach from a primary, or don't teach it. Go harder to go home, right?
Hmm.
Because in these debates that Shaka and Dugu was talking about, how can I say, you find that many of these people who are who you know, I don't want to pick on anybody particular, but they say that they are priests, and they say that they're this and that, but you give them this, they can't read it. They can't read it, right? And so where do we go when this is the introductory hymn to Ra, right?
Hmm.
Where do we go of Anui? And so where do we go when the people who are you taking these expensive trips to can't read this stuff? But Shaka, I'll stop sharing my screen because I don't want to tire you. You have to get ready for work and stuff, and I'm fired. So, but fired and retired, right? And yeah, but I have a method that I think I want to might want to share with you to help you parse further. I'll give you a hint of how I parse. Okay, so besides the determinatives, so you look for uniliterals. If you can see the uniliterals, fine, that's on the alphabet sheet. But every time that you normally see a T, you can draw a horizontal line. Have you
Hmm.
noticed that?
I did
Every
not notice that, you know.
Huh?
And for the people listening, when the brother Reggie says to draw a horizontal line, is basically uh, as if there was a space, you know, basically a separation between two words. That's what brother Reggie means. I mean, I'm not in his mind
Yeah,
now,
I'm
but
not
that's
sharing
what
my
he's
share my screen again, so I
saying.
share. So I'll just show you again. So I'll give you
And
so you
the T, that's a loaf of bread for the people listening, you know. And the reference X1, Gardiner reference X1.
right. Well, in ancient Egypt, in the dynastic period, it becomes a
It
loaf
was a
of
chip.
bread.
Yeah. Mm.
Before in pre-dynastic times, it's something else.
Mm.
So and so my work on the origin of writing in Africa, I'll tell you exactly what it is. But notice that if you see a T, watch this. Usually, everywhere where you see a T at the end, only at the end, the line ends. If you see the P at the end, you can draw the stroke. Also, if you see the F by itself, you can draw the stroke. So I've given you the T. Anytime you see the T at the end without a determinative, you can draw a stroke. If you
Hmm.
see the F, you can draw a stroke before or after. If you see, here's one Aket with a determinative,
Hmm.
you, you can draw the stroke. If you see T's, you can begin to kind of, with a determinative, you can kind of draw a horizontal line. Sorry,
Hmm.
start drawing a horizontal line. If you see this T right here, draw the horizontal line. It ends. If you see the T, draw the horizontal line. It ends. Right? And there are a few more, but I've categorized. Here's Mut. There's a
Hmm.
T. You draw the horizontal line. It ends there. Then it's the ek. You draw the horizontal line there. That's one of these keywords. And so there are a number of them that help you actually parse so that you could detect where you might want to look for words.
And
Um,
that's a good method, especially for new learners who don't really know the vocabulary. It's a good technique, you know. It's a
yeah,
good
I've been
technique.
yeah. So I've been but I don't like to teach anymore. And so one of the
I
things
think
is that
I mean, we talked about that before, but it will be good for you to do so. I think you will have many learners. You know, you are known in the community. You know, and
no, they're not worth it. The people are not worth it. I have
and
found
of course, you know, being compensated for it. Of course, not doing it
no,
free of
no.
charge. Yes.
The I have found this is what I found is that like that there are people exploiters in our community that exploit our people, and they want to. For example, we don't really have to talk about the word Kemet anymore. It doesn't matter anymore. You know why it doesn't matter? Because the major museums have already said that uh, ancient Egypt was African. So why do we have to read book and book and book and buy book on Kemet? There's a person that's offering, he's been offering to buy his books on Kemet for, he's got 3 or 4 books on Kemet. Why? It's an African
Uh,
civilization.
we plagiarize information, but people act like it's all good, you know.
Yeah. And so
People
why do
act
we,
like it's all good.
yeah, why? And then keep making it up and it's, keep making stuff up and you keep buying the person's books, but you find out the books are not in libraries. The books are not being cited.
Not
Nobody
peer
cares
reviewed.
about it.
No
Huh?
scholars, no PhDs, that agrees with their claims, despite what they said. They
None.
said they have about 10 PhDs that agree with them. We don't know their names, but it's just a shame.
None.
It's a shame,
None.
you know.
None. But I don't know if the person could read the introductory hymn to Ra, and the person doesn't even agree with the methods of Champollion, Lepsius, and even the great teachers that we have, uh, Dr. Richetti, Aunt Mira, Benanti, Montgomery.
And they said that Diop guessed.
Yeah, Diop was wrong. Diop guessed. They stay away from Abanga because Abanga is still living, and
Yes, and
Abanga will
when he
punish.
passed, they start running the mouth. When
Yeah,
he
he's
passed.
wrong too. He's
Mm.
wrong too. And so the only people that you deal with is these people. So what I do is I keep it successor, right? I might share it with you, and I might share my methods, with some people that have integrity, right? Who go to the museums. It costs Shaka Indugu Kemet money to go and take you to these museums. Like he wants to do it for his own research, but you need to cash app him something, right?
Mm.
I mean, it could just be lunch money because you're not paying for his trip. So he's taking you to the Louvre. He's taking you to the British Museum. He's taking you to where'd you go? Brussels or Belgium? Where'd you go?
The last street was Amsterdam.
Amsterdam, right?
Yes.
So he's taking you around the European world, and I go to the Met, the Brooklyn Museum, I go to the Penn Museum, I go to Boston Museum of Fine Arts, right?
Mm. And I want
And
to go to all those places, have all the lists, of the museums in America. I basically have the list of the major museums. I mean, with Egyptian artifact around the world. So when I go to America, I'm planning on doing a road trip. Like
yeah,
maybe
well,
go
you
there
would
for
you
one
you
month.
you you would look me you would look me up,
Mm,
because I'm your brother. You wouldn't
mm.
look up the pseudos
No, I won't look
because
at the studios.
the pseudos the pseudos don't read, and so some
I
of
mean,
you you have.
they don't have respect for the scholars, not just the elders, because you have the right to disagree with the elders, but saying that Sheikh Anta guessed. I mean, come on, the dude was a PhD. I shouldn't say real PhD because we have some people who claim to be PhDs, but I mean, he was not guessing. Come on now, he did the work, he did the comparison,
Well, they're
but
guessing, but
yes,
because nobody agrees with them. But
yeah,
the
no
difference
scholars
is
agree with them.
the difference is that when Diop did UNESCO, his partner was Theophilo Banga,
Mm,
right? So that means you have to say not Diop guest, you have to say both Diop and Obenga guest. Obenga is still alive, and he will
yeah.
punish you. He will
Mm,
punish you because some these people who are doing this, you know, African scholars are really mad at them, and I'm talking about African scholars in Europe and in the other places in the Francophone where you're from, uh, a child of Alion Diop and those people, right? Those Africans who came to France to learn, and France is a very high level institution in
mm,
learning. Uh, and then there's Uncle Online, right?
yeah.
Which and, and they are very very mad. They're quiet, but what they do is they ban you, right? Your work is not accepted. and there you go. So yeah, go and take courses with Shaka Ndugu Kemet, right? See the primaries. I'm very happy about his work and what he
Thank you.
does.
Do
And
up.
yeah, um,
Do up. Well, okay. Thank you very much for calling. I'm just gonna get ready for work because I work full time. You know, other people they are pseudos and they make a living of it, but life is unfair sometimes.
yeah, it is. So, well, thanks for
Oh,
having me on.
oh, you're
And
welcome.
maybe one day we can have a practice session and I can show you
Oh,
my. Uh,
we have a brother from Paris here. Salut,
ah,
salut à toi. Je donne des cours de médiumnitaire, donc si tu connais des gens intéressés, ben il y a mon adresse mail.
yeah, Alion Diop, yeah, Antonin Furman. These
Hmm.
are the great Price Mars. These are the great francophone scholars that let us African francophone scholars. Diop and Obenga. Salute to you. Yeah.
All right. Thank
All
you,
right.
brother
Bye.
Regis. Okay. Brothers and sisters, I will put an end to this live stream. I will leave the outro. Stay safe, stay healthy. If I'm allowed to by the next year, I will definitely holler back at you. For those who don't know, I'm giving middle nature classes. Hotep. Now, for the record, for those who don't know, I'm giving middle nature classes. And here, that's the flyer. Okay? So, those who are interested, feel free to holler at me. If you're not interested, it's cool. But I recommend that everybody who has not yet seen the video Kemet and Maat before Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, then watch it. It has about 300,000 views and really deserves to have a lot more. I just want to let everyone know who's listening in now and who's going to listen to this stream in the future. I just had my first Meta Nature class by Brother Shaka today, and I've had other Meta Nature lessons by other teachers, and I can tell you right now, the brother is the best in the game. He is that was one of the best classes I've ever had, ever. So if you're interested in learning the Meta Nature, if you're interested in getting the basics of it, Brother Shaka is an awesome teacher. Get with him, and it's extremely affordable. This brother is giving us his time and his skills, and he's basically giving it away. I mean, I just consider it a donation. You know what I'm saying? So if anybody's interested in learning the Meta Nature, get with this brother right here. He's an awesome, awesome, awesome teacher. And I'll end with that. Hotep Senu, Hena Senut. This is Julie, also known as Servant of Yah, and I'm currently taking the Medu Nature classes with Brother Shaka, and it has been an amazing experience. Only 2 lessons so far, and I feel like I've been taking the classes for months, just with the how in depth he goes into the vocabulary words, the construction of the language, the grammar. It's been immeasurable, the experience. And one thing that comes across, hands down, is his extreme passion for teaching this to anyone who is willing to learn and has an interest in learning. So I highly suggest, if you are interested, even a minimal interest, that you subscribe to the classes with Brother Shaka. It's such a nominal amount for how much you get. I know, like, our last class was over 2.5 hours. It felt like 2 minutes, but because that's how involved you are in what he's teaching and how he teaches and how compassionate he is about what he teaches. Also with sharing materials free of charge, no question, no doubt. It's just what he does. He doesn't have to, but he does. And so I just wanted to give a short testimonial about the class and the effectiveness of the class, and all of that is attested to how studied Brother Shaka is.
So I highly recommend anyone with a minimal interest that you do sign up for the Medjugorje class. Hotep.
Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, which is Maat Forever. Don't forget to watch the video entitled Kemet and Maat. Don't forget to share Kemet and Maat on my channel on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, or other social media that you use. Email, text messages, you name it. Those who wish to donate can do so on paypal.me/maatforever.